everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Untethered. Today is my current affairs edition, and this is where we might get a little bit into politics, we might not. We try to stay away from it and get more into the current affairs, the things that are happening in the world that isn't necessarily connected to politics per se, but sometimes it does creep in. It's also separate from all of the religious and stuff and things like that, but it's more of like just current events that are taking place, you know what I mean? So with that, I am going to get started with the show. I'd like to welcome the panel. Today Mark Edworthy was sick, so he couldn't be here, but we have my brother Robert with us, as well as Otto X. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello, glad to be here tonight.
Okay, so with that being said, I wanted to get into the first topic, which we were talking about a little bit earlier on a previous show that we were doing, and it's the hantavirus cruise crisis that took place.
Ooh.
Now, here recently, health officials ended up stopping a boat from coming to port, and they were closely monitoring an outbreak of the Andes strain of hantavirus aboard the MV Honduras cruise ship, which was currently en route to the Canary Islands. There were 5 confirmed cases and 3 deaths that were linked to the ship so far. Now, this specific strain is rare, but concerning because it's the only one known to allow limited human-to-human transmission. Now, before you start making any comments, Robert, let me get this done before you start doing that. That's how we basically do it. We go through and set the topic up, and then we get to it. Okay. I know you was getting ready to say something.
Now, and Tan has returned. Hooray!
Welcome back, Tan.
Yes, I'm here. I'm still playing driver, so mute myself over.
Now,
you're a trooper. You're a trooper, Tan. Thank you.
The first thing that we're bringing up is what we were discussing earlier about the hantavirus. Now, I went ahead and went to the website for the EU, which is the ECDC europaeu.com or .eu, europa.eu, and pulled up a website there. It says questions and answers on the hantavirus outbreak in the cruise ship, and it starts talking about the hantavirus in the Andes strain, and it says, what is hantavirus and the Andes strain? The hantaviruses are a group of viruses that people usually catch through particles from infected rodents. It can cause serious illness, and the symptoms depend on the type of hantaviruses involved. Now, the Andes virus, which is involved in this outbreak, is a hantavirus primarily found in South America that can lead to severe lung infection called hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, which can worsen quickly and become life-threatening. Now, how do you catch hantavirus, and how infectious is it? Hantavirus mainly spreads via inhalation of contaminated particles from the urine, feces, or saliva of infected rodents. Only one strain, Andes, the one involved in the outbreak, can spread between people. However, it only does so if very specific close contact situations. Hantavirus can be very dangerous for the person who gets sick, but does not pose the same broad outbreak risk as SARS or COVID-19. It goes on now to say, can Andes hantavirus spread between people? And it says, Andes hantavirus, which is involved in this outbreak, is found mainly in South America and is the only hantavirus that is known to spread between people. Nevertheless, such transmission is considered rare and typically requires close or prolonged contact with an infected person. And it also goes on to say, how were people infected? The current hypothesis is that at least one passenger was exposed to Andes virus while spending time in Argentina or Chile, where Andes virus is endemic, before boarding the ship, and may consequently have transmitted the virus to other passengers on board. So with that, I'm going to open it up. I also wanted to mention too how whenever I heard about this on the news, I found it pretty disturbing that the media was pushing the idea that because we stepped away from the World Health Organization, that we, the United States, had somehow contributed to this happening. You know what I mean? This is something that, first of all, happened outside of the United States, and we had no control over. And second of all, first of all, that it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that the United States stepped away from the World Health Organization. You know what I mean? I find that kind of disturbing that they used it politically as a ploy.
Yeah, they don't like the idea that U.S. was pulling away because U.S. didn't appreciate their politics.
So with that, I'm going to open it up to you guys. So what do you think about that?
I heard it was 13, 14 people that showed positive for it. Not the full thing, but they showed positive. And they're like, they're going to that island, I guess, a security where there's no people barely at, where they can do a better check of the people and all that. That's what they were saying on the news, that they're going to an island because that one country, well, right when they got there, the country radio to the boat and tell them no, they cannot dock at the dock. They couldn't take the chance. And when it comes to all that,
hold on a minute. Was you going to say something, Otto?
I'm sorry. I've got a couple things going on here, but one of the things that struck me about it was I heard the story earlier about the hantavirus thing, and I had heard that the world, and maybe I missed it with your reading because I unfortunately my attention is being drawn to things, but I heard that the World Health Organization had said the ship could dock, and they were going to let people get off, which sounds kind of crazy to me personally.
That was maybe just now, but before that one country, the country told them that they wasn't permitted to dock during that time.
Yeah, I wouldn't let them dock. You couldn't pay me.
When that couple died from it, it was a husband and wife that got it. The husband died first, then the wife did, and then the third person later on.
Well, it's scary because it's such a deadly disease.
Yeah, and
that's why it's scary.
But how are they going to clean that on the boat? How are they going to sterilize it? You stop to think about it. I don't know how specific or if they know what they're doing, because you always hear about different types of viruses reacting a certain different way, like temperature or cold or chemicals and all that, it's resistance or whatever. My question is how they going to specifically clean to sterilize the areas to make sure that don't ain't the thing. Because unless they use a ozone layer to sterilize the room like they do in hospital.
Okay, so I do have a little bit.
All those copies there for you.
I do have a little bit of information on what they were talking about, or what they've been talking about with it when it comes to that. They said that there's at least 26 passengers that are known to have disembarked from the St. Helena and traveled back home or to other destinations. Now, the World Health Organization has shared details with the relevant countries, and they're being recommended to contact their local public health teams for advice. Now, contact tracing is being carried out to ensure follow-ups with those who may have been exposed. Now, even if transmission of Andes virus were to occur from passengers leaving the ship, the virus does not spread easily between people. It is therefore unlikely that the infection will spread more widely, particularly if authorities act to prevent and control the outbreak. The rodents that carries Andes viruses is native to South America and not found in Europe, so it's unlikely the virus would spread to local rodents. Now, according to the ECDC expert on the ship, there are currently no people with symptoms on board. Now, passengers are wearing masks, and the ship is operating at around half capacity, allowing space for social distancing. That's what I found out on there, just so you guys know, because you guys were talking about that. And when it comes to like sterilizing the ship and everything, I don't know exactly how they're going to go about doing that, even if that's going to be a part of the whole process. We heard from Tan Hai Tran's daughter that they had allowed them to come off the ship. I don't know for sure if that's confirmed or not, so that's what she ended up telling us. So I could check that out and find out if we have to. It'd probably be good to know. So give me a second and I can check that out.
So that's good for the rodents from them countries, other countries won't get affected, but could that affect other animals?
Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying since they're not native to Europe, there's a good chance that it won't spread because they're not native to Europe. They're native to South America.
Nature has a lot of safeguards.
I'm going to check now to see if they've allowed any passengers to disembark from the ship. And that's kind of why I'm being quiet. I'm surprised everybody's gone silent when I need them. So no. As of May the 8th, no general.
I can't help you guys. I'm still driving.
I know. As of May 8th, 2026, no general disembarkation has been allowed for the roughly 140 to 150 passengers and crew remaining on the MV Honduras, and that's according to the New York Times.
But what they are doing is they're checking out people that they've met in the other countries, and they found that a few of them have gotten on planes and went back home to other people that met them. The one that was infected.
So how long ago is this?
When it first started, right before they
Yeah.
was noticed, they met other people
Well, that's what I
from
was.
other
That's what
countries.
I was. That's what I was discussing just a second ago. What it was is there's people who disembarked from the ship before they made it to port, and they're actually contacting the countries that they're supposed to go to, and they're letting them know. So before they found out about the virus, people had already disembarked from the ship.
And people that they met as well
You guys
from
are
other countries. At the other, what people meet other people in the countries that they went to, met other people from other countries, and they put a alert out to all the countries about the warning about that. If they're people that came from that specific country, if they start acting and that having that problems, they know what's going on. It's alert about watch for your people. They might actually caught it. They sent the word out through all the other countries about their people might actually caught it.
Okay. Okay, so I guess since nobody needs to talk about that, we can move on to the next topic then. Because we talked about that a little bit more in
Like I said,
in the
there.
last stream that we've done. So if you guys don't have anything else to say, we can move on.
I'll just say, it's a little scary, and you don't know what they have in their minds always. But I don't know. Sometimes I worry that the health authorities are like really just incompetent. Sometimes I worry that there might be something more sinister behind it. But this is a good time to take lots of vitamin C. Stay healthy.
Well, that and
It's a good season to take vitamin C too.
yeah, but
Yeah.
the question is, since this has happened, what have they learned from this situation now, where next time it does happen?
Well, we don't learn from situations like this. It was just like when we had the Ebola on the last ship that ported here in the United States. You know, like nobody apparently learned anything from that. They're like just really happy that freaking only 6 people came off the ship, I guess, or some shit like that. I can't even remember exactly the story that happened there, but most of the time people don't learn from this stuff. It's just like whenever we had the last virus that we had, which nobody apparently can name on the internet anymore, you know, but nobody learned from that. It's like freaking stop eating out at fast food joints, start eating more at home. If you're going to eat at fast food joints, don't make it a day-to-day habit, you know. Well, let me finish. You're kind of hogging the whole thing. So every time I say something or somebody says something, don't worry about making a comment after them. Okay. Now, what I was saying is it's like, you know, people need to learn how to freaking kind of distance themselves. It shouldn't be a virus telling you that you need to eat wholesome and eat at home and stop going to fast food joints and rubbing elbows with total strangers and allowing people to cough on your food before it even gets to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're right. You know, because people they wait till they get scared before they do something. You know, they don't think about it until it's like really brought to their attention immediately.
Or yeah, but what I'm referring to is like Black Mary. Okay, when she would get hired from Big House, after a week of working there, they all died from her. Okay, and after a while, they finally caught on. She wasn't actually killing them, but she had a disease she was immune to. But by being around people, she would kill them. That's what I'm referring to.
Oh, Typhoid Mary, like
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. And they stuck her on an island by herself, but they would give her food and all that, but no one would ever get to talk to her, no nothing. And they had to wear them, what do you call them, suits? Well, they had to wear some kind of thing to make sure that if she was close, no, there was no way of transferring. And, but that's my point, you know. Next time it can be like her, okay? Something can trigger something and create a problem, a situation just like that. And look at how many times I think they have said about people.
Well, before you continue, let me kind of clear that up. It's not Black Mary; it's Typhoid Mary.
Well,
now let me finish it. Now, Typhoid Mary was Mary Milan. Okay, she wasn't Black Mary; she was Typhoid Mary. And what happened was she was the first person in the U.S. identified as a healthy asymptomatic carrier of Salmonella typhi, the bacteria that caused typhoid fever. No, she was called the Killer Cook, who worked as a cook for a wealthy family in New York between 1900 and 1907. She unintentionally infected at least 51 to 122 people, leading to several confirmed deaths, and was forced into quarantine on an island after refusing to stop cooking or acknowledging that she was a carrier. So they forcibly quarantined her by health officials on North Brother Island in New York's East River for a total of 30 years until her death in 1938. So that's who you're talking about.
You know.
Middle Ages, they would have thought she was like a cursed or a witch or something. You know, wherever she'd go, people would die. They'd probably burn her at the stake or something. Because they wouldn't know what was doing it, you know. Well, they wouldn't know. They didn't have a germ theory, so they didn't know about spreading. They just knew you hang out with her and you die.
Hey, Roger, who was they're in well, there was one person in the past, long time ago, was the only one that was smart enough to know that, and he actually used this thing of diseases, the infections, and that during the pyramid.
Well, just to let you know, we can't be talking too much on this kind of stuff because, like, you can get me in trouble for medical misinformation. So let's kind of stay away from this conversation. I'm sick of that. just to let you know, it's me and Mark actually made a joke about it and did like a talk show format on the last time I got in trouble because we had made comments about cancer, and apparently that's not acceptable on YouTube. So let's kind of stay away from that kind of stuff. I opened up the information for you on that, but let's not move into that. So, did you want to say something, Tan?
Not really.
Okay, so
I'm doing some shopping on the way home. You want to view my
multitasking.
they got him working. I'm telling you.
Yep.
He can.
You know, it's
working me to the bone, man.
It's that Canadian work ethic.
No, it's forced labor by the family is what it is.
If it's family, it's not forced labor.
Well, he knows better than to call it that. He's been learned.
Slave labor.
You know.
That's not forced labor.
That's right.
Slave labor.
That's right.
You've been learned.
It's like when I hear you're going to the beach tomorrow. Am I? Oh, good. You know?
It's interesting. I'd love to be able to find out more about this thing, but I'm not at a computer, so it's too bad.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I just wanted to make sure that you had a chance to say something before my brother's big mouth started up again, because
Oh, okay. No, let
he
Robert
just
talk.
talks all the time, dude. Just talk.
Well,
You do
like
this?
Frankenstein, okay?
He
Look at
doesn't
the
talk like
metaphor.
this on a regular basis either. Like he just started doing that since he started hanging out with you guys. Now you can't shut him up. I'm like, wow, dude.
Oh, see, we're the bad influence now, right? Blame it on us, Roger. Go ahead.
No, we're the good influence.
Yeah.
Well, you look at
Yeah.
what he's done. Okay, he took 2 dogs, one and removed the head from one, and then inserted in the veins and all that into the other, and it lasted for 3 weeks. The dog did.
Hold on, dude. You're not. Now you're talking about mad Russian
I'm talking about
scientist.
medical. I'm
No,
talking
that
about
was never
Fred
brought up.
Fitz.
You just like popped it up out there. Like that just goes. Go ahead.
Well, they're coming out with all sorts of new medical medical
Good.
stuff. They are,
No.
and
Well, like I said, let's pass this one
Yeah.
because we don't need to be getting too much into that. I wanna bring that to an end.
okay.
So I'm gonna bring it up to the next topic, and this has to do with space. I wanted to get into this back whenever Artemis was actually going around the moon and stuff, but I passed that up. They finally have landed, and Artemis 2 has, and NASA released images of the charred Artemis 2 Orion spacecraft here recently, following its successful flight around the moon. Now, they have a video and everything that's posted up, or not video, but they do have photos and everything that's posted up about it. That is what I wanted to get into with that one, and I'll read the article from Space Insider off of space.com and see what you guys think of it. So it says NASA Artemis 2 astronauts saw flashes on the far side of the moon that cameras struggle to capture. Here's why scientists are excited. Now, it's extremely difficult to capture impact flashes with the camera, which is one of the benefits. Sending trained crew observer. It's extremely difficult to capture impact flashes with cameras, which is one of the benefits of sending trained crew to observe the moon. Now, the Artemis 2 astronauts remained vigilant while zipping around the far side of the moon last month on the ready to record meteoroid impact flashes on the lunar landscape. Their diligence was rewarded. The 4 crew members reported seeing several impact flashes, flickers of light created when a meteoroid hits the lunar surface and vaporizes. Now, these observations were made with the unaided eye. It's extremely difficult to capture impact flashes with a camera, which is one of the benefits of sending trained crews to observe the moon. Kelsey Young, NASA Artemis 2 lunar science lead, told Space.com. Now, early data indicates that the impact flashes were observed on the far side of the moon. So, Artemis 2, the first crew moon flight since Apollo 17 in 1972, launched from Florida's Space Coast, April 1st, and flew around the far side of the moon on April the 6th. As the astronauts scrutinized the moon that day, so did citizen scientists here on Earth. They were also looking for impact hits, although they would likely not have spotted the same ones as what the crew did. Now, these observations were gathered as part of the newly launched Impact Flash Citizen Science project under the auspices of geophysical exploration of the dynamics of evolution of the solar system, which is GOTUS, a unit within the NASA Solar System Exploration Research Virtual Institute. Now, the Impact Flash effort is geared to gather more data on the location and brightness of flashes throughout recent and upcoming Artemis moon missions. These flashes are vital to scientists who study the moon, notes the Impact Flash website. By tracking when and where they happen, scientists can learn how often impacts of different sizes occur, what kind of craters they create, and how the shock waves travel through the moon's interior. When combined with data from NASA's Moon Circuiting Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, the LRO, future lunar surface instruments, and crew observations, the citizen science observers can provide valuable constraints on the origin and characteristics of impactors, as well as craters that form from the impact, Young said. Now, the Artemis II astronauts' impact flash observation window extended out into the lunar near side in darkness. Benjamin Fernando of the Department of Earth and Planetary Science at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore told Space.com. Now, that right there was something that really caught my eye. It was like when I read that, I was like, no, hold on, why don't they already have this information? You know what I mean? Because it's like they had what was it, Apollo
13.
No, which one was it that actually landed with with Armstrong and Neil Armstrong and all of them, Buzz Aldrin and everything. That was Apollo 7, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good old Buzz Aldrin, America's #2 astronaut.
Right.
They did a whole Monty Python episode about him, you know.
Mm-hmm. But which Apollo crew?
The moonshot was Apollo 11, I think.
Apollo 11. So
that was the landing. They had like 10 Apollos up to them, but they didn't land.
Yeah, but which one was it that they supposed to release that thing back to the moon and it crashed on the moon in Echo?
I'm not sure.
I
don't know the Apollo missions as well as I should.
Now,
when I was reading that, they didn't mention it, and they didn't show no picture of that, how bad that thing was beaten up when it hit the moon.
now I can do a quick search for it and everything and let you know real quick. But
Thing about seeing the meteor impacts, it's really interesting. I used to really like astronomy when I was a kid, and one of the things about setting up a moon base is you've got what they call them micrometeorites. The moon's bombarded constantly, and those flashes are just things that are big enough to see. There's like all kinds of, like, some of them are like the head of a pin, but they're traveling at great speed. So you've got to build, you know, if you're going to have a base, you've got to build it so it can resist getting hit by rocks all the time. I think that's why usually when I hear about a lunar base, they talk about building it underground, which makes a lot of sense because it insulates and it helps protect you from like all these things that hit the surface. So if they can figure out how often they hit and where they hit, it'll help them like survive on the moon's surface, because we're going to need a moon base to explore the rest of the solar system.
no, I found out the mission was Apollo 12, which took place in November of 1969, after the astronaut Pete Conrad and Alan Bean had reunited with the command module they used remote control to deliberately crash the spent ascent stage of their lunar module, nicknamed Intrepid, into the moon's surface. Now, the impact occurred about 40 miles from the landing site, which created a shock wave that was recorded by seismometers the crew had left behind.
So why is it they're able to pick up flashes of that from happening, but no echo?
Well, NASA reported that the moon rang like a bell for nearly an hour following the impact. That was not a literal sound you can hear in the vacuum of space, but a description of the seismic vibration recorded.
Yeah, but
It didn't behave the way they thought it was going to behave, I guess.
Yeah, but that's my point. Okay, they're seeing flashes and something hitting the moon faster than that thing falling and hitting the moon as well. So which one was more faster and more destructive?
Well, getting back to what I was trying to say, and I'm trying to stay on focus here because we have a tendency of having Robert get us off focus. What I was saying is like we had these missions, and this is a good example of that. Why is it that they haven't already found data like that already? You know what I mean? It just does not make any sense that hadn't already been collected. So I just that's the question that I'm wanting to kind of figure out, because you would think that they would have already had data from that. It's just like with the moon rocks. You know what I mean? They're supposed to have brought those moon rocks back. What kind of research have they gotten off of that too? It's like a hush-hush kind of thing that nobody...
Well, they're always trying to find out more. The thing with the moon is when for most of the time we can only look at it through telescopes here, and there's a long history of what they call TLP, transient lunar phenomena, right? And basically just flashes that people have seen, lights glowing on the moon. Sometimes they think it might be some remnant volcanic activity, maybe some gases expressed or something.
Oh, are you guys ready for the moon?
The moon.
Yeah, when the moon shrinks, go farther back. It shrinks in size the farther it goes back. It's going to happen sometime soon.
Well, see, there you go again. It's not that it's shrinking; it's as it rotates around the Earth. Let me finish. As it rotates around the Earth, it's actually getting farther and farther away.
Yeah, but it's going to take a really long time for it to get. I don't think we'll see much in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I mean.
But they're always collecting more information, and when you can only look at the moon from the Earth, you miss a lot. But when you're up close to it, like they were saying, it's hard for cameras to catch that stuff. How can you know when to snap the picture, right? So, but when you're there, you see how often they're hit. So they don't even know. I mean, they've got some idea and they make estimates, but you don't know until you actually go there. I know when they were like doing the lunar landing, and if they did, but they didn't know what the lunar dust would be like. They thought maybe they'll hit the dust and they'll just sink in, but it was exactly what they predicted, which was interesting. In fact, they said the dust was just like the artificial moon dust they made to test the lander in.
Yeah, I know. And, for me, when it comes to the whole thing about people saying that the moon landings were staged, I mean, I'm not a big thing on that, because I want to think that we did make all those trips to the moon, but they bring a good argument up when it comes to after Apollo 17. Why did they stop? And then when they started making an effort to go back to the moon, they started saying that it was freaking almost impossible to do. Like it was just something that they couldn't accomplish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was weird when they said we lost the science to do that. It's like, wait, we were not supposed to be going backwards. We're supposed to be going forwards. I always thought.
Yeah, you know that kind of put up red flags on my whole thing too. It kind of makes you stop and think. You're like, hold on a minute. We went to the moon 7 times or 6 times. I can't tell you exactly how many. But why is it that they could do it back then, and then now you're saying that we can't do it now? And then you look at it like the satellites are focused on the space stations, okay? And those aren't in space. Those are actually in the outer orbits of Earth.
Yeah, low Earth orbit. Yeah.
You know, so that's not technically being in outer space.
Not really. Not like Captain Kirk would call it. You know,
Right.
I go by the Star Trek standard. We got to get out into interplanetary space before I take it seriously.
Mhm.
But I mean, a moon base is important. As far as whether we got to the moon or not, I don't know. It's the thing is there was so much. I wouldn't be surprised if some of it was faked. Maybe not all, but some, because you got to present things to people. I just think about all the stuff that we know, has been faked over the years. I mean, you look at those images of the atomic bomb tests that they did, and like you see all the trees bending over and the houses and the cars and everything. But look at those are pretty fake, actually. People have been pointed that out. That those were made to scare the Russians, and that's why I think a lot of the like the whole Roswell incident. I think that was to scare the Russians. And who knows what with the moon? They were trying to scare the Russians, or they're really worried about that. There are aspects of it that are real suggestive, like the fact that the astronauts popped right out of their capsule and were just walking around just fine. Whereas, really, when you've been in space that long, you'd think you'd be a lot weaker. At least be in a wheelchair or something. And they lost all that footage that they had. Apparently, all the raw videotape of the moon landing all got accidentally erased. How do you erase that? The most important, step the human race ever took. And we lost the tape. So that's kind of suggestive. I don't know. I don't really know what went on. That's the thing about this world we live in now. We can't really know. I mean, I'd have to go there and look at the lander myself. I don't even trust a picture of it anymore. You can see pictures online of like supposedly taken from the orbit around the moon of the Apollo 11 landing site, but I don't know, man. I see pictures of anything these days. I can have a picture of me hanging out with Benito Mussolini and Karl Marx and Napoleon Bonaparte all sitting playing poker. It doesn't mean it happened.
Hey, Roger, what's that stuff on the moon they're talking about using for fuel from the sun rays hitting the moon?
Well, from what I know that uranium, they do have a strong deposit of uranium on the moon, and it's a lot of the material, the resources up there are, when it comes to metal, it's a lot stronger than what it is here on Earth. And I know there's a lot of iron deposits up there. So, and I think that's what a lot of people, when it comes to space exploration, are really worried about with the moon. They don't want it to be exploited and made for that kind of thing, where they're depleting it for nuclear resources and stuff like that. So,
well, they say the fuel of the future is going to be helium-3.
Yeah, that's on the moon.
Yeah, helium-3 they can use. They've got a fusion process figured out where, as I understand it, I'm no physicist, but I guess when you use this process with helium-3, you get electricity. So, like, nuclear power is like, you got the power plant, heats water, makes it steam, turns a turbine. It's really kind of Victorian. And somehow or other, this like takes the fusion process and you get electricity out the other end. Just bam.
Yeah, it's
that
like
would be
static
perfect.
charge.
Yeah, so that would work perfect for like, everything, really.
Yeah.
So I know they are talking about a 40 to 100 kilowatt nuclear plant for the first moon base. And I heard they want it down by the south pole of the moon because there's supposed to be ice there so they can have water. That's going to be a big thing, is finding water.
You know what, they can use Tesla's plan for it too. You stop to think about it. You hook up one plant to a Tesla tower, and you got other places around for power that can supply all the other places with simultaneous energy on the moon.
Yeah, I don't know if they can build that on the moon though. I
But
mean,
why not?
well, the thing with the Tesla broadcast energy system is, if you use it, it drowns out all radio communication. So they'd have to have a really incredibly shielded radio setup. I'm not sure how if you could even do it because it would just fill the air with so much static that
Well,
it would be. So a lot of our technologies, like if you set up at like the house I'm at, if you put a Tesla tower out in the front yard and turned it on, like all this none of the computers would work. Like all the circuits would be just overwhelmed with the power. It'd be like a big constant electromagnetic pulse.
yeah.
So I
You
mean, if they
gotta
set
figure
them up
out.
in the 1880s, nobody would notice because we would never have built computers or radios or anything. You wouldn't be able to.
Well,
But
your TV,
no
you
one
wouldn't
now,
be
there'd
able to
be a
get
lot
your
of issues.
TV. But
Yeah,
yeah,
tower would like wipe out all radio, television, phone traffic, and probably like smaller electronic circuits would get fried. I mean, if you carried a laptop into like a functioning Tesla tower, it would like wipe it, I'm pretty sure.
well, I was just saying, like if you're about like 50 foot or 100 foot away from the tower, and you have
Uh-huh.
a thing where you attach it to where it feeds one tower to the other into your place,
Right?
and then it breaks down to all the other places. That's what I was referring to. You know, where one tower feeds to the other tower.
Right. So it would like be like a network.
Yeah, but but one power station wouldn't be over. It wouldn't strain itself. It wouldn't like a nuclear power plant would.
Right. Right.
And by doing that, you can sit on in the moon with like 12 to 20 bases, somewhat reasonable, close to one another. Not too close, but close enough. And with one tower supplying the other smaller towers to the places, you would have all that.
If they would invest in it for the moon, but it'd be interesting if they said. Actually, it would work pretty good because if you had broadcast power, you could just have all your moon vehicles wouldn't need fuel tanks.
Well, you could run everything through it.
Okay,
Communication.
so before we get too far into that, there's one more thing that I wanted to read, and it's concerning the NASA thing, and it has to do with Blue Origin's new moon lander. It passes the crucial test for NASA's mission. The article comes out of the site Tech Daily, and it's dated on. Let me see again. Yeah, it doesn't have a date. That's why it gets on my nerves. They don't date these any. Oh, May the 8th, 2026. So this is today.
That's what that is.
Yeah. Now let me go ahead and read this, and we'll talk about this if you guys want to. Now, the Blue Origin's MK1 lander just survived a brutal dress rehearsal for the moon. Blue Origin MK1 lunar lander, also called Endurance, has completed a major phase of testing as the company moves closer to supporting NASA's Artemis moon program. The uncrewed cargo spacecraft is being developed as a commercial demonstration mission focused on advancing human landing system technology for future lunar exploration. Now, the recent work took place inside Chamber A at NASA's Johnson Space Center. The testing effort reflects a public-private partnership model with Blue Origin using NASA facilities and expertise through a reimbursable Space Act agreement. Now, test precision moon landing technology. MK1 is designed to demonstrate several critical capabilities needed for future operations on the moon. These include precision landing systems, cryogenic propulsion, and autonomous guidance. navigation, and control technologies. Now, the spacecraft will also carry 2 NASA science and technology payloads to the moon's South Pole region this year under the CLPS, Commercial Lunar Payload Service Initiative. One payload, the stereo cameras for lunar plume surface studies, will capture detailed images showing how the land's engine plume interacts with the lunar surface during descent and landing. The second payload, the Laser Retro-Reflective Array, will help orbiting spacecraft pinpoint locations more accurately using reflected laser light. Now, NASA's CLPS program expands lunar research. Through CLPS, NASA works with American companies to send scientific instruments and technology demonstrations to the moon. This initiative is intended to deepen understanding of the lunar environment while helping prepare for future crewed Artemis missions. Now, for me, that kind of gets a little bit deep when it comes to what you just said, Otto. I mean, that sounds all fine and dandy, but that could also be used for equipment that could help out for future mining on the moon and stuff like you were talking about.
Oh yeah, well they're going to have to exploit the resources there. I mean, you can't carry everything up from the Earth, so they're going to have to try to find water is going to be a big one. If they can find the right chemicals or minerals to maybe even manufacture air. And the key to all that is energy, because energy is always the key. So if they can get some kind of a nuclear power plant going, that'll be a big step. But you're going to try to use as many of the resources you can find in place. It's like, you come to a desert island and the first thing you do is you cut down the local trees to make a wigwam. You don't, carry trees over from Europe or wherever you're coming from. So, and of course, the big thing about with any of this, space exploration, it's not so much getting the astronauts there as getting the equipment there, getting the instruments there, and then giving them the energy to work. And the more instruments we get up there, the more like with those flashes of light, the more data, the more information we get, the better we understand what we're facing when we're trying to live there. And that's at the end of the day, there's going to be humans living there. At least that's the goal. So, we can live in Antarctica, which is pretty tough, and nothing as tough as going out into space. This has to be the harshest. Well, maybe the ocean bottom might be a little harsher, but I don't know. You don't have radiation down on the ocean floor or supernovas or meteors, so we might have radiation.
Yeah,
it's Godzilla.
Well,
that came from radiation.
Let's not talk about Godzilla. No, okay,
Monster Island. It's Monster Island.
Well,
it's a place.
I started on.
Well, I was just saying about, because they showed the thing of we call them volcano things that coming from the ocean, from the bottom of the earth up into the water. They were showing it how the temperature and all that from it, and how right around next to it sea life goes around.
Oh yeah, way away from the sun and everything. Yeah, I heard about
farther
that.
down in the bottom of the ocean, sea life, they stick to like heat and all that, and they survive down there with it. There's no light down there, but the pressure is so extreme, and the food is extreme as well. And they showed that down there, that how sea life would go down there, and like when a dead animal would drown, die, and fall down into the bottom of the ocean, that they would sit there and literally eat the whole thing in 3 or 4 months. But they said that in places where the ocean goes into the crust, the new ocean comes back out and the old goes in. They were showing it on they were explaining that plates or whatever.
First patient instead.
Nice, the buoyancy and stuff down there. Yeah, I know that. I've heard that it's like its own little ecology where life can thrive. And I mean, if it can thrive down there, who knows what we'll find out in space? You know, we know there's at least one of the moons of one of the planets says they think it's like covered with ice with like some kind of a liquid ocean underneath. So if that's got heat vents down there, maybe something's living down there. We got to go look. That's the cool thing. You know, we got to go look and see and try to figure it out.
Yeah, like when Russia made that large hole in the ground.
Well, yeah, and all the screams came up out of it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
No, the screams didn't come up out of it. That was
hold on,
weekly world news.
Yeah, I had to mention this too before when we were talking about that. Everybody goes to the Russian holes, okay? Those are not man-made. Those happen naturally. That because we know that we can only dig 8 miles deep, okay? And people, when they talk about these holes in Russia, they these are the hugest holes, and they don't realize that's not man-made. Okay, these are naturally made holes. Russia did not make them.
No, the one I was talking about is where they started with a regular drill and went farther and farther down. And after a while, they had to add water to it, one of the big spray cannons to keep people cool and keep the drill cool, because farther they would go down, the harder, and the drills would wind up melting. That were fused together, the parts and all that.
Okay, so while we're on that, it's good that you guys brought this up, because the next topic that I want to end Untethered with is the one that happened here recently in Indonesia. This will finish us off. This is the last one that I want to bring up. I don't know if you guys have heard about it or not, but 3 hikers were killed in Indonesia. In Indonesia because of a volcano that spewed ashes 6 miles high, and that was Mount Dukumo, which erupted while about 20 climbers were on the slopes of the remote volcano. Now, this was despite warnings to stay out of a restricted zone too. So 3 hikers were killed after Mount Dukumo erupted on a remote island in eastern Indonesia, sending a towering column of ash roughly 6 miles into the sky and stranding climbers on the volcano's slopes, locals authorities said on Friday. Now, the eruption happened at 7:41 a.m. local time Friday on Halmahera Island, according to Indonesia Geological Agency. Now, the blast was recorded on seismographs for more than 16 minutes, the Associated Press reported. North Halmahera Police Chief Erlikson Pasaribi said about 20 climbers had set up to ascend the nearly 4,445-foot volcano, even though climbing was prohibited because of the mountain's high alert status. The hikers became stranded when the volcano erupted. There are 3 dead, 2 foreigners, and 1 resident of Ternate. Pasaribi told Compass Police. Now, as of Friday afternoon, 14 climbers, including 7 foreign nationalists, had been safely evacuated, reports the AP. 5 of those evacuated were injured, while rescue teams continued searching for other climbers believed to be trying to descend. Rescue efforts were slowed by rugged terrain, ash, and continuing rumbling from the volcano. The bodies had not yet been recovered. Indonesian Indonesia's Center for Volcanology and Geological Hazard Mitigation has banned activity within 2.5 miles of Dukono's craters, warning of hazards including volcanic bombs, ashfall, and toxic gases. Officials said the hikers were believed to have been inside the restricted zone when the eruption occurred. Lana Saria, head of Indonesia's government geology agency, said ash was drifting northward and warned that nearby settlements, including Tabalo City, should be alert for ashfall. She said the smoke could pose health risks and disrupt transportation, reports Reuters. And this is actually, I should say this is coming from AccuWeather.com, just so everybody knows.
When was this?
Who would climb a volcano? I mean, even if there wasn't a restriction on it, and then you're told not to climb the volcano because it's about to erupt, and then you climb it anyway.
It's the same people that died on that mountain at wintertime, and something made them kill each other, or something happened to them.
Well, that
was in Russia. That was that other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is weird things happens there.
Well,
and they
Robert,
decided to still climb it.
Robert, we're on Untethered. If you want to talk about that, you talk about that on the Wonderful World of Weirdness.
We're saying people do weird things without thinking too clearly.
Well, let's just keep it separate. This is
Okay.
we're not talking about.
Roger, how come you're not sharing whatever you're reading?
Well, it's because I don't want to. I think I've said this to you a couple times before.
Instead of from some website.
Yeah. So, do you want me to share a link with you guys so you can check it out?
Yeah. I mean, share the link on the stream, man. This is audio visual. This is not just audio.
Oh, yes, it is.
We can do visual. There I am.
There we go.
Hello, fans.
Okay, there is the link for the volcano.
I see it.
Chris
It
Kringle
is
on
audio.
TV.
Wow. You look like Gandalf.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
At least he didn't say Santa Claus. Why
Why not?
I used to
Okay.
play Santa
All right,
Claus.
more
My
like
buddy
Santa
Connie
Claus.
Bosca
I
said,
don't know why I thought of Gandalf first.
thank you. I prefer to think of Gandalf first. Nothing against Santa, but when I was Santa, my buddy Pani Bosca was always accusing me of impersonating a saint. It's like, what? You're impersonating a saint? That can't be good. I'm like, it's acceptable here in America to do that.
It's fake it till you make it. You know?
So with the whole thing on the volcano thing,
That's wacky. Why would you want to climb a volcano? I mean,
I do
I wouldn't want to go
with
near
you.
one.
I agree with you on that. I mean, it's like this area is restricted too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you were saying there was a warning. It was restricted because it was active. They knew that it was going to blow. It wasn't like, oh, it's just being real quiet, like Mount Fuji just one day decides to blow its stop with no warning. And I know this guy lives down in Costa Rica, and one day he was always like, oh, you got to come down and visit me. Let me show you some pictures of my home. And I'm looking at these pictures, and I'm like, what's that column of smoke? He's like, oh, that's our volcano. And I'm like, volcano? And he's like, yeah, we live in Lucky Valley. I'm like, why do you call it Lucky Valley? He says, well, the last time the volcano erupted, the lava went into the other valley on the other side. And I'm like, I'm not coming down to visit you. I don't want to go near volcanoes. I just doesn't make any sense to me why you would want to be anywhere near one. But I mean, I would love to see one. People do this all the time.
Maybe these people are thrill seekers, just like.
Well, that's what I think it is, because I was reading a thing not long. It was a few years ago where there was a tsunami warning in Japan, and these kids went out to the beach because it's a tsunami. Yeah. Let's go see it, and they got killed. And I would just love to see, whenever this happens, of course, the government, whoever the agency is like, we will rescue them. And I was waiting for the Indonesian authorities to say they were told not to climb the volcano. We're going to leave them there. Too bad. We said no. There's 44 people stranded. We told them not to go. Sorry.
What?
They never do that though. They rescue them.
Yeah, but what I, there was one that was so powerful it went farther than that, and it spread all the way around it. It,
Oh,
it
Krakatoa.
literally,
Krakatoa, that
Krakatoa.
caused a tide in England. They said there was like a wave that went up the Thames that was from that explosion, like destroyed a huge chunk of the island. I think that's what you're thinking of. That caused weather problems for like years. There was like sunsets that were like wacky. I mean, I remember
yeah,
Mount St. Helens going up, and we had some amazing sunsets then
you know,
because
because
of all
there
the
was,
dust in the air.
but there was one. I think it when it went off, it went off. The whole area was covered with it from it, a good 20 miles all the way around the volcano. And it was the area was so choked and all that they had to evacuate everybody, and nobody was allowed in them towns around that area or anything. And when I heard that, I'm man, yeah. And but that's what I was referring to. People
Oh,
that knows them situations.
Well, I understand too, like on a serious level, just keeping it away from like the conspiracy stuff, which I do like to talk about. But like on Dyatlov Pass, okay, when you were talking about that, yeah, that's a good example of people doing foolish things. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
to get there
Well,
is very very harsh terrain and stuff, and like Tan said they're out for adventure. They literally call this adventure teams. This is what they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's people that do freaking they do expeditions into Canada from freaking the United States. And
God.
they've been doing it for at least 100 years, 200 years,
Mm-hmm.
where they go through the Rocky Mountains all the way up into Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and that's about the craziest thing you can do in the
Um,
United States.
yeah,
We did a little bit of that in
I can see,
1812.
yeah, but I can see doing that. It would be no problem. You know why? Because that's one thing that compared to a volcano, where you know that sooner or later something's going to happen. You know, they're giving everyone warning, and they got that whole area taped off with signs. And
Well, you're just like making assumptions that they were taped off with signs, dude. Like
well,
this is in Indonesia. Like you know what I mean? They could just be telling you, look, you don't need to
yeah,
go there. So
Well, I think I'm probably thinking there was probably an alert going out on people's phones.
yeah,
And if it was like any other park, there was probably a ranger or like I don't know, I've been parks where they have a sign, no fires today because of the fire concerns, or you can't come into the park because there's like wild dogs or whatever for whatever reason. So you would think if they were in this day and age, there would be like an alert saying danger, no hiking allowed on the volcano today. And, you know, I don't know. It's not like a lonely traveler that didn't have any news anymore, with the internet and telephones and everything. They had to know.
yeah,
Um, and also like all the smoke coming out of the top of it. I mean, if it's an active volcano, there's probably earth, but they're looking for adventure. It's like Tan was saying, thrill seekers.
right.
There's not enough thrills in regular life for them, I guess. I don't know. I have a
Putting
thrill just trying to figure out how to put a roof on my house. That's my big thrill adventure.
I'm also thinking
Yeah.
like they're putting people's lives in danger because of the harm they've put themselves in. Like all these people have to go out there and try to
Oh
search
yeah,
for them and
rescue them.
rescue them.
Yeah,
hmm
yeah.
That might be this thing. It could be like a tour thing, because these are a group of 20 people. Maybe they're being led by some adventurous
Yeah,
tour guide.
that is a large
You know?
group. So
Yeah.
yeah, there must have been some kind of organization. Like 20 people out of nowhere just all the same day. Let's go climb that forbidden volcano today. It seems like a
That's
good day.
right. And
We survive that, we'll
I
go to
don't
the
know.
next tsunami party. Uh,
Well, the volcano eruptions are like pretty spontaneous, right? You can't
well,
predict them, right?
they
one
you
of
can have some
Hawaii.
warning though. I mean, they're not always right, but I mean, when you start getting a little more earthquakes and things build up, they generally say stay away. It might go up, and I think
Mm,
that's what I got from this. It was restricted because they were worried it might. They don't
okay.
always know, and sometimes it does just kind of go off. But
Yeah.
I think
I,
usually there's some kind of rumblings or warnings.
I know it's a
Um,
movie.
wouldn't
They
take much for me.
have
One
they
little.
ever showed the new stuff that they were talking about at one time, where there was signs of before an earthquake did hit, there would be certain sounds coming from an area within the ground
Mhm.
or certain type, like pressure, noise, or they were talking about that, about trying to find out signs before it actually happened.
Right, right.
I was wondering if they actually ever did go through with it or if they got bored.
Okay, so we are having some issues with audio, which is good because I'm sick of hearing Robert's mouth.
There's no audio
I,
issue. You
I,
guys are
I
just
have
sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
When he talks, you
Rogers is over
mute.
there with his little button. Click, 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 click.
Now,
Yeah.
afternoon. Well, I went ahead and checked that out for you guys. Man, Mount Dukono is one of Indonesia's most active volcanoes and has
Ooh.
been erupting almost continuously since 1933.
Okay, so you know this place is not a good place to go. Okay,
Yeah.
it's like erupting regularly since the
So,
30s.
yeah,
No, I'm not going near there.
someone really had to be talking some idiot people to go.
And they said that officials have said activities have remained high with nearly 200 eruptions recorded since March 30th and an average of about 95 eruptions a day.
Wow.
So Hawaii and that place in Hawaii is about the only two that I know of. Keeps on going. There might be more, but I only know of two. Then
Well, you know, I would have probably thought that this was crazy until freaking I met Mr. Robot and talked to him. Like
It
he
sounds like kind of thing he would be doing, right?
yeah, this is exactly the kind of shit he would be doing. You know what I mean? He would be going up on a freaking active mountain and talking about UFOs and shit. You know what I mean? Like he would take a camera up there just so he could have a sighting of a UFO coming out of an erupting volcano. That kind of shit. You know what I mean?
on that movie, remember that one where the Earth is planet's going through a change, and what's them getting a blueprint of the, and that one guy got the thing where he can find out where the boat is, where they all go and get on it,
Yeah.
and that guy sitting there with a camera hollering out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remind me of that.
So that is the last of the topics that I wanted to bring up for Untethered. You guys, if you have anything else to say, we can say it, or we can go ahead and end the show. Which way do you want to do this?
We got like probably happen.
Avoided under all circumstances. That's it. I just stay away from volcanoes. Really, they're not a good place to go.
What about you, Robert? What?
Well, I was. Well, if that's all happening like that, that does explain about some of the weather how we're having. Because as they say, less sun and all that, and weather changes from of all that going on get thrown up into the atmosphere with the sunlight, moisture, particles. Don't they say that all that stuff gets shone up and it's like a battery, particle charges.
Well, I know for what I've been hearing when it comes to the weather, it's there is some weird stuff going on because like here in Texas here recently, I don't know if you guys been keeping up on that, but like the weather in Texas is just insane. Like here in the last week, they said that it was snowing down there. And then
Well, it is Texas. Texas is a wild and woolly place.
but then before that, they had like storm chasers following tornadoes and everything in Texas, and this stuff was
Saw that, yeah.
that was the most insane stuff I freaking have seen when it comes to weather. And I've lived down in that area before, so I mean I'm aware of how bad weather gets, but that is not normal. It looks like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. It really does. So.
We're living in a sci-fi movie, dude. We're living in one.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Tan there. He's in a sci-fi movie right now. That backdrop.
Yeah, I'm in my Kylo Ren throne.
So before we cut Untethered off, let's go around and give our socials. I'll do Robert since he's not really aware of how to do that. But if you want to talk to Robert, you can find him at my networks. You can find him at on Element at Rogers Hangout, and you can also find him on. Well, no, that's about it.
You should
On
create a
Stolen
channel
Talk.
for him on Minds.
Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to get something set up for him on Minds and
Yeah,
stuff.
let's
But
do it. And he can talk. He can talk. He can post audio clips of himself.
So
Instead of
I'll show you what I did to
writing.
it. Tell me if that's what you like, 'cause I sent it to around.
so with that being said, Otto, do you want to
Because
tell
I'm trying
everybody
to
how they
keep
can
it
get in touch with
within
you?
the parameters of.
To find me. I've changed my name. It's Smith Jones. No. You can find my actually check out my website, navakavada.org. That's NAVAKAVADA. It's spelled just like it sounds. I'm also on minds.com, Otto_X. That's EX, by the way. You can also find me in most of the places that Roger hangs out with on Discord.
All right. How about you, Tan?
I am most active on minds.com. My channel is TH2Tran.
All right. And like you said, I will set Robert up with an account on Minds if he wants it. And with Robert, if anybody's watching and they want to know or contact him when I get that set up, you would probably be best to do with the recording area like Tan had suggested because he does have a reading problem. So if you want to talk to do the
Voice
voice,
message.
do a voice message. And that's actually a good tip. Thank you for bringing that up. By the way,
Yeah, let's try to hook him up with some hot dates.
right
A
on.
lot of pretty women's on Minds.
Now he's just tempting you.
Well,
don't listen to that.
some of them are women. Some of them are women.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just trying to tempt you in. That's
Yeah.
an old minds.com trick.
Yeah, they can keep that.
Okay, so with me, you can. Oh, before I start doing, well, actually, I'll do my social. You can find me on X, Roger Hansen at ROGLOL1973. You can also find me on Minds at Roger_Hansen. You can find me on Element Matrix at Element Matrix at Rogers Hangout, as well as on Infinite Imaginarium and the Quantum Gathering. But the Quantum Gathering is completely top secret, MI6 security level to be there. So the Infinite Imaginarium is where you can find me on that. Besides that, I do want to point out the fact that we do have groups on Minds that you can check out if you're on Minds. We have Strange Stories, which you can find out on there. You can find Minds Roundtable Weekend Event, which is also a group on Minds.com. And you can find The Praetorian, which is a Minds group on as well. The Praetorian, or no, the Wonderful World of Weirdness is on Discord. You can find it there, and you can also find. I believe that's all I got to say when it comes to the show. There's a whole bunch of them. You guys can find us on those two platforms, as well as on X, like I said,
Great.
and minds.com as well. So
I've been hanging out with you guys too much. I'm starting to laugh like Roger Hansen.
The Roger effect.
I just scare myself.
Roger effect.
So,
The Roger effect.
So with that being said, if you guys enjoyed the stream, please like, subscribe, share, make comments, give feedback in the comment section below. We love feedback. We love to know what you guys think. And we will talk to you later.